Suck it, Samsung, you lost.
Suck it, Apple. You lost.
And hey, calm down. YouTube's not slowing you down. Chill. Let's get in the hot news, everybody. It is Wednesday, January 17th, 2024. We're going to start off today talking about how Samsung has lost its top crown in the smartphone market. Apple is now the number one. Something that has not happened in 13 years. Can you believe it?
That's longer than I've been alive.
That's strange. Very strange. You grow facial hair inordinately quickly.
Who?
Is what I'm asking of who had the crown before Samsung did these last 13 years?
It was probably Nokia.
You think Nokia had
I think it was Nokia.
Oh, well, you know who we can't say Nokia about?
Yes, Kia?
Michael, because he
has a Kia Forte, 2023 Kia Forte, license plate number.
How do you know these things about him?
I took a picture of it this morning.
Oh, well, in case you're wondering who Michael is, he was the guy in the background of the CES hot news that you couldn't tell whether it was Kyle or Michael. And
then I was behind him.
I can't remember exactly how that happened, but it turns out that how Apple got the top of the smartphone market is because in 2023, the market overall was down, but out of the top three smartphone manufacturers, Samsung, Huawei, and Apple, Apple's the only one that grew. Samsung and Huawei both shrunk in 2023, but Huawei is looking like they potentially will take on the top spot at some point in the next few years, especially as they continue to grow in China. But Apple can rejoice that they beat Samsung, something that hasn't happened in a teenager year's amount of time.
That's Samsung.
Yeah?
This is Apple.
Okay. Very simple, good analogy, which I'm gonna analogously tell you that you should check out today's video sponsor, Jawa, because if you're a gamer, you're looking to buy, build, or sell, you should check out the marketplace for gamers by gamers, because that's exactly what Jawa is. Let's say you're planning on upgrading to one of the new 4070 Supers that just got reviews yesterday and today. Well, you can sell your old 1080 Ti directly to Jawa, because they'll buy your GPUs from you. Or you could sell it on the classified side. Are you trying to spin that up into the cup?
The little trick.
Okay, if you can do that by the end of the ad spot, I will give you a high five.
All right.
So, Jawa is a place where you can either connect with verified sellers who can sell full PCs to you, or you can sell your own PC hardware yourself. Or, let's say you got a Christmas holiday bonus at your job, or you're anticipating a nice little tax refund, you can spend that money on Jawa and get yourself a nice little upgrade. So whether you're looking to sell your old hardware or come into some new hardware of your own, you could check out Jawa for that. You can use our link in the video description and use code UFD10 to save $10 on your first purchase with them. So get some pre-loved goodness for somebody else, or get some pre-loved goodness for yourself. Big thanks to Jawa for sponsoring today's video. Boo on you. Man. Boo. You get the opposite of a high five. And that's exactly what the Supreme Court did with Apple and Epic Games. They opposite high five them because Apple and both Epic appealed the rulings about what happened in the courts that few years ago with regards to Fortnite trying to take microtransactions off of Apple's own payment platform, and the Supreme Court said, no, leave us alone, we're not going to hear this.
What does the guy from Dirty Jobs have to do with any of this?
What did I say?
Microtransactions.
Okay. Yep, I got it. So with the Supreme Court refusing to hear Apple and Epic's appeals, that means that Epic Games now has to just abide by the fact that they're not allowed to be on the iPhone anymore. Apple can say, hey, we don't want you here, but also with that, that does mean that buttons, external links, or other calls to action that direct customers to purchasing mechanisms in addition to the IAP are now allowed, because Apple is not allowed to do the steering that they had where they forced you to go through Apple's own payment platform. You can now move them off-site. So Fortnite winning in that way, but Apple also winning because they don't have to open up competing stores, which is something that's going to be happening over in the EU, at least according to rules that are out there. And here in the US, it's not going to be required, at least according to this ruling. Maybe there might be some trickle down like we saw with USB-C, where the EU mandated it, so they brought it to the US. But it's also possible that Apple will just have separate app store policies for separate regions in order to make it as lucrative as possible for themselves. So Epic Games saying that this is a sad outcome for all developers, and Apple saying, we're not letting you we don't like Fortnite. We don't love Fortnite.
Fortnite Battle Pass. I just clicked out my app.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Well, you might want to click out of that Incognito browser you're in right now because Google
What did you see?
is actually still tracking you. I saw the green M&M. I know
No.
Yeah, Google's been tracking people.
Michael took the computer.
So there was a lawsuit that happened against Google saying that they were tracking people too much and not disclosing how much was actually being tracked with inside of Incognito mode. Google said that they'd pay out, and now they have updated the Incognito browser to make it so that you know that a little bit more. So they still say, hey, they're not gonna save your browsing history. Your activity might still be visible to the websites you visit, your employer or school, or your internet service provider, but they added in a little line. You can see it here on the right-hand side saying, this won't change how data is collected by websites you visit and the services they use, including Google. So Google can still track you in Incognito mode. Sorry.
Question.
Yes.
Question.
Yes, child.
What if I can't read? How are they supposed to disclose this information?
How are you using the internet?
I know I hit Control-Shift-N.
Oh, for what? What does that do?
That goes, they can't track me. That's what I was told.
Oh, okay. Well, they can, and they do.
Oh, man, if only I could read.
Oh, well, if only we could Reece. UFD Deals.
Yo, welcome back to UFD Deals, bringing the hottest tech deals on the internet, and hey, deals. Starting off today, we have the Zelman 10X Performer White CPU Air Cooler for only $30.14 with a coupon applied. Then next up, we have the Sapphire Pulse Radeon RX 7900 XT 20GB graphics card for only $709.99 with the included promo code, making it $90 off. And then lastly, we have another monitor deal with the LG Ultra Gear 27-inch 1440p 240Hz OLED gaming monitor for only $749.99, making it $250 off. And with that, the deals are done. You can find these and more linked in the video description down below. But until next time, I'm gonna hand you off back to Brett and them for the rest of your hot news. Cheers.
Well, Reece, you know who feels like they got a bad deal? Some Mac users. Turns out, this is a very Apple-heavy episode of Hot News, that with the whole Beeper mini saga that was going on, where people were trying to get iMessage on their Android devices, it's devolved even further. So from Beeper's side, they said that they were done. In case you wanted to get it, you had to have a jailbroken iPhone with a Mac, and then you could somehow fuse it to where you could get the iMessage working on your Android. Turns out, those Macs are getting banned. Users are having their Macs banned.
I find it kind of funny that there's a whole underground society of people who are working day and night diligently, just trying to not be green bubbles.
I think it's a little bit more than that, but yeah, that's the gist.
gist.
Of it. Yeah. So it turns out that Apple is trying to subterfuge all of the things that Beeper did by
That's a good word.
reverse engineering everything that was going on in iMessage. And Apple, at least when they were contacted by these users, said that your device sent too many messages. So Apple blocking it, it's a bad thing. Apple's not doing the right thing here, but in case you want secure messaging between iPhone and Android, you should wait for RCS to roll out to the iPhone later this year.
Or buy an iPhone.
Or hear me out. Do people still use Signal? Is that a thing? Telegram?
AIM?
Trello? No, not Trello. Trevolo?
Trivago.
Trevolo. What was
The
that
Jeff
one that
Goldblum
like
thing.
MSN Messenger?
The paint thing?
Yes.
Yik Yak.
Oh, that like rolled out when I was in college. That was a weird app. That was a very weird app. People still use Kick? Not the streaming site. Or the cereal.
We don't talk about that one.
We don't talk about that one.
We'll
Okay.
talk about that one.
I never
We'll talk
used that
about
one.
Kick the cereal. I put a little
I said not the cereal.
scoop of sugar on it, and then Brett thought I wouldn't bring it up this time because we already recorded this once, but we didn't actually hit record.
I did. I actually double-clicked record, so it stopped recording. But that's not relevant here or there. But just like we had to buffer our own episode of Hot News, YouTube has been buffering for people who've been using ad blocker. No, it's been slowing down their computer. You may have seen this being reported by a bunch of different sites and other YouTube channels. Turns out they're wrong.
Buffer. Like that sentence you can say with only buffer.
Do you mean Buffalo?
Yeah, same thing.
A lot of people were reporting that they were having CPU utilization spiking that was happening when they went to YouTube with their ad blocker turned on. Turns out this was happening for even YouTube Premium customers. But you know what YouTube has to say about this?
We didn't do it.
It wasn't us, not us, and that matters because the last time this happened in November, they said that they did do it. that it was an oopsie, that YouTube actually maybe implemented some changes for giving people suboptimal viewing, and that they fixed it. However, this time they said this is not our fault whatsoever. It turns out that is true because it was found out that if you were using AdBlock Plus, that AdBlock Plus was faulty, or any of the derivative ad blockers that are based off of AdBlock Plus, because a lot of them are just basically reskins of the same app. So it turns out there was some bad path code for how CPUs were utilizing AdBlock Plus, and so that was causing a spike in CPU utilization. People were seeing these issues on other platforms besides YouTube, and so it wasn't YouTube this time. It was you. It was you installing that malware. Why do we trust ad blockers to take all of our data?
MeTube.
Why do we allow them to just know everything about this?
Because most people who are using ad blockers don't realize that that's the trade-off.
That they get your data.
Yeah.
Well, I want them to have it, I think.
I'm cool with it.
Yeah?
I don't care.
Oh. Everybody gets Kyler's data. And the Finnish techie saying, because we're doing comment response. I did not segue well into that at all. I'm very sorry. This is 4070 Super being 15 to 20% faster than the 4070, while it's being 10% more expensive after the 4070 price drop, has made me second guess my decision of going with the 4070 for my upcoming build, though it still only has 12 gigabytes of VRAM. If it has 16 gigs, this wouldn't even be a question. Get the Tissipper.
NVIDIA is brainwashing you guys. They have made you value VRAM because of AI. And now they offer things with low VRAM whenever a higher VRAM option available, pay more, get higher.
You're
AI
right, the
good.
7600 XT is the best GPU.
That's because it's red.
Oh!
We don't like red.
We don't.
Yeah.
I love green?
No, green.
Oh!
I like green a lot.
Me green. Me like. Yeah, you do? Strange guy. All right. Well, we also got some strange comments. I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant here. You ready for that? The Game Bench saying the thing with the 3050 6 gig is that it's just going to be a way for NVIDIA to move 3050 laptop dies that they have sitting around. That's the reason for the spec reductions. It's not that they're cutting down the desktop 3050 so much as they're using a refresh laptop 3050 as they use completely different dies. They got the idea from the gray market as they've been salvaging them from laptops, reballing the cores and putting them on single slot LP PCBs for a short while now. This is a little
I think I might know what you're gonna say.
yeah, this grinds my gears just a little bit. Not your explanation, because that's sound and I absolutely agree. Logically, you spelled out why NVIDIA is doing what they're doing. But my problem a lot of times is that I bring up, hey, there's this issue going on in the PC world, and to which we get comments like this that are like, well, that can actually be rationally explained. Unfortunately, the rational explanation doesn't remove the problem that I have, which is the 3050 6 gig is so cut down, it should not still be called the 3050. It doesn't matter whether it's from a desktop die or a laptop die. The whole purpose of them calling it the 3050 is to deceive the customer. And regardless, that is what's happening. I would prefer if they called it something else. Just because we have the explanation of why they're doing it doesn't make it's still bad.
3040.
Ooh, that'd be a good name. A lot of people want that.
Is this a 4? Is this the right way? I'm trying to make a 4 with my hands.
Let Kyler know if he did a good 4. Which, on the same vein of me ranting, we also have One Grainer 1 saying, most probably since the 7945HX existed, so did 7940HX, upper and lower models of the same CPU. So they most probably wanted for it to remain as same parts since they were made almost the same way. I get that. I understand that there is a logical way where you can explain what AMD did. But the problem is, I don't care. That's not, my issue isn't, I can't understand why they did it. My problem is that it's bad.
See, the problem is that the top operator
ain't got no gas in it.
So the top operator, it ain't connected to the potassinator, and then
no, you're gonna stop the recording. Knock that
and
off.
then you need a dead animal's limb.
Which is exactly, I mean, my opinion of AMD's naming convention. That's my problem. They set their naming convention and then they chose not to uphold it. They said, hey, if it's launching in 2024, it should be called 8000 series. But this thing, even though it is only launching in 2024, because of some arbitrary reason that they get to make up, some dead animal limb that's going on, It shouldn't be. It should be. They should uphold their rules, or really not make the rules in the first place. It's marketing hogwash.
They'd just be naming things.
Well, Ravi says now Intel Core Ultra Series 1. That has the most simple naming. Very easy to understand.
The design is very human.
Speaking of, Arasumi saying, you know it's gonna be a good hot news when Kyle is not in it.
The hell, man?
How'd you feel about reading that one?
Why? You said it in all caps. You were like one of the first comments. It was first thing in the morning. This is how I started my day.
It's brutal. That was rough.
Why? We all know it. You don't gotta say it.
I like having you here. What'd you...
It's not a button.
Don't touch my keyboard. We'll be back with more hot news tomorrow.
I'm gonna touch your keyboard.
Kyler will still probably be here.
I'm not gonna move.